people, it's your first man back again with another Manchester United podcast. As you can see from the title, slightly different. Obviously, Ravish isn't, he's smiling, but he's probably not happy. But as a Manchester United fan, I'm absolutely elated with the current news surrounding Manchester United and the new management appointment. We will be going through that in detail. But before we get into that, first things first, Ravish, welcome to the show. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Usman. Honored to be here.
Absolute pleasure having you. As we've already said from the title, good to have an Ajax fan, obviously get some actual insight. A lot of my mates that speak to me say, Osman, what do you know about Ten Haag? Apparently, I don't know anything, which is fine. So please continue to speak to me as I don't know anything. That's fine. As I was getting comments in down for our guests, slap a like on the video and, of course, subscribe to the channel. Ravish's socials are down below in the description, as they always are for everyone that comes on the show. So make sure you drop him a follow on Twitter and support obviously all the fantastic work he does on his Ajax platforms. But listen, let's get straight into it. Obviously, first things first, the news kind of broke yesterday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if you knew anything more from your perspective, being from Amsterdam yourself. What's been like the general feeling within the city itself? Is the news a shock to you guys, or how are you feeling regarding the news in general?
I heard the news yesterday when one of the media parties, ESPN, brought it that Ten Hag and United are accord to work together coming season. Well, the thing is, the everybody is happy for him, but also, of course, we are sad that a good coach is leaving. But the most uh, questionable question right now is who will be the replacement of Erik ten Hag, because he did some massive things with Ajax the last 4 years, and yeah, it will be really difficult to replace him. Of course, we say that for every coach who's leaving Ajax who had success. So, but I think the general opinion is that everybody is happy for him that he will go to United, and also is a part that really hoped that he would stay. But after 4 years, with the results he booked with Ajax, sorry, I think it's the right time for him now to go ahead in his career.
Yeah, I mean, from your perspective, obviously, that's a very respectful way to say it, really, to be honest. I can't imagine Manchester United fans having the same amount of decorum, so to speak, and respect for the manager if they've left in the manner which he's not leaving in bad terms, I suppose. But of course, it's such a huge part of your success. You kind of mentioned on a couple of occasions that you're happy for him to go to Manchester United. As a Manchester United fan myself, it sounds weird to hear that from someone else, because we just see all this doom and gloom. Everything's going wrong at Manchester United. We're currently struggling. There's a lot of critics. Does it not surprise you that he's gone to Manchester United, given the situation we're in? And to be fair, you're a very well-run club and everything's going well at Ajax. Is that a surprise at all?
Well, you have to be honest. Ajax as a club is one of the European top clubs. But Manchester United is at even more higher level. The competition is a higher level, and I think for Ten Hag it would be a quite. Now he needs to figure out if he can manage his way of playing football in a different country. He
Yeah.
did it already in Germany when he was coach of the second team of Bayern Munich, and he did well because Guardiola also talks with a lot of pleasure about him, saying he's a good coach. Um, I wasn't surprised that Manchester United came for him because Ralf Rangnick, is a coach who's always looking for talent, and I think he sees in Ten Hag a talent that he can work with because he will become the advisor after he step out, right,
Yeah, that's
Usman?
correct.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's
I
correct.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the way that Ten Hag is managing is something that triggered Rangnick, and that's why he picked him as the new head coach for United. Uh, Saying that, I'm still surprised that a big club like United has lost so much of his glamour of the last year. I was
Yeah.
looking at United as a little kid. I saw the team rising. I saw the match against Sporting Lisboa where Ronaldo played the whole defense that make them crying in the new stadium, and I followed the team for the last years, and yeah, still surprised that the team has lost so much of his glamour, has his power, and I hope really that they can come back on one way.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that because obviously, as a Man United fan, we look at teams like yourself. There's one thing I will say about Ajax is you're massively respected within Europe in terms of your model, the way you run as a club. For me personally, I would dream to have something which is what Ajax have in terms of your structure. You're basically a conveyor belt of talent. You always bring through talent. With Ten Hag himself as a manager, you always seem to spot gems. As you mentioned, he was at Bayern Munchen and highly rated by Pep, but nevertheless, you still gave him his opportunity to go to a big team. You are a big team. You're a powerhouse in Europe, and respectfully, people look at you as someone that is okay. We got to take notice of what Ajax are doing. So it's good to see that you guys are always giving people opportunities, and I feel like as a Manchester United fan, I really wish that we would do more of that. And obviously, you mentioned that Ralph had somewhat of an opinion on this as an advisor. I think for me personally, I know Ralph didn't negotiate anything, but I think Ralph's opinion on this is a reason that we've gone for Ten Hag, because he's not a traditional manager that Man United would go for, because he's not, I wouldn't say he's high risk, because I think any manager that comes to Man United with the situation is high risk at the moment, but he's just not a conventional Manchester United manager. And for me, that's a good thing, because we need to change. So my next question would be, and you kind of already alluded to it, is, you said that he's been there for 4 years, came from Bayern Munich. What kind of impact has he had at Ajax? Obviously, we know you've been successful. We know you had that good spell in the Champions League as well under Ten Hag. You had a good run, etc. But what kind of impact has he had? You said that your fans are going to be upset to miss. You're gonna miss him, so to speak.
Well, first of all, he didn't came from Bayern Munich directly to Ajax. He came from Go Ahead Eagles. That's a small team in the league.
Okay.
He came during the season to Ajax because after Peter Bos was coach of Ajax, and he left the club because he wanted to rebuild his staff, and the board wasn't happy with his thoughts about replacing Dennis Bergkamp as example. So after that, he got substituted by Marcel Keizer, who was a friend of Dennis Bergkamp, and he said to the board, "Listen, bring him, and I think Ajax will be back on track." That season was a really difficult season for the whole club, because during the preparation of the new season, Abdelak Nouri got his cardiac arrest, which gave him the brain damage he's living in right now. And during the season, it was really difficult for Kaiser to build the team up because of a lot of pain, and people were really sad about Nouri, because Nouri was a public player. Everybody loved him, and he loved the club. So everybody thought he would be the new Ajax player. So after a cup match against FC Twente, Ajax lost after penalties. The board sacked Keizer, and Mark Overmars directly went to Erik ten Hag, who was coach at FC Utrecht at that time. And then the era of Ten Hag started with the first 6 months was difficult for him, because he needs to adapt the Ajax mentality, the Ajax system. But he did it by himself, made some mistakes, of course, like every coach did. And
Yeah.
yeah, Ten Hag was one of the coach. Ten Hag was the coach when Ajax played against PSV. We lost that match in Eindhoven, 3-0, and PSV became champion against Ajax at their own home. So for us as fans, that was devastating. But the new season started, and what was really good from the Ajax board was that they started to invest in the team. They bought Dusan Tadic, who had worked with Ten Hag before. They brought back Daley Blind. United was so
Yeah, of
kind
course.
to us
Yeah.
to give him back to us, and those were two puzzle pieces that came a part of the whole Ajax story. Tadic, Blind, Frenkie de Jong, Matthijs de Ligt. So a combination of experience with youngsters, gave the whole world a different view on football, I think.
Yeah, no, I think with Tadic and Blind in particular on that left side, they've been absolutely pivotal for the way, Ten Hag wants to play football. In terms of, from a Manchester United perspective, what can we as fans expect? What do you think we should expect when he first walks through the door? Of course, we know it's not gonna, happen overnight. But in terms of his philosophy and what he brings to Manchester United, is there any sort of strict way or certain way of he likes to play football?
Well, he loves to play attractive football. He loves to attack. If you watch the games of Ajax, most of the time they are playing with full pressure forward. 5 second rule to regain the ball when you're losing it on every piece of the field. I think Ten Hag also brings a different philosophy, a philosophy of the way of he's playing football. He's always playing with three attackers, so a left winger, a right winger, and a striker with a number 10. But nowadays, the right winger has his left foot and the left winger has his right foot. They're always coming in while the backs are coming over. So I think that would be I think that he will bring to Manchester United. But I think he also needs to look what his possibilities are with the squad he will have.
Yeah.
That's I think the most important part of implementing his vision has to be checked with his whole squad, because you have players who will leave the club. What's the budget he will get to buy players, and which player will be a surprise in the preparation. So but to come back to your question, he will bring attractive attacking football, um, playing starting from the defense, so being really solid back at the back with a good goalkeeper, and I think the midfield will be also really important for him. If he can formate a midfield that have power and intelligence, yeah, I think United will be really gonna enjoy Erik ten Hag.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've seen with obviously Ralph Rangnick's coming, and he kind of alluded to that 5 second rule of winning the ball back as quick as possible.
Yeah.
For me personally, as a Manchester United fan, I do worry about certain things with Ten Hag, not because of him, but because of the players that we've currently got at the club, and I don't think
Mhm.
they're capable of, sort of implement or executing his sort of strategy, so to speak. In terms of players, you kind of mentioned the goalkeeper, etc. Um, is there any players in the Man United team that you think would take to Ten Hag? Or do you think that would be successful? Because obviously, there's some people talking about the Hayes situation. Is he, is he going to be able to play on the Ten Hag? We know Ten Hag likes to play out the back. De Gea notoriously isn't great with this field, though he's okay. Do you
Sorry,
think
who?
that's going to be a predicament? David De Gea, sorry.
De Gea, yeah. Yeah, I think that De Gea is a keeper that fits in the philosophy of Ten Hag. We have Andre Onana before he was suspended on doping. And
Yeah.
you saw how Onana developed as a keeper who was all around with great reflexes. And the De Gea that I knew, the De Gea that started at United, was also an amazing keeper. He had a dip where he made some things that I was looking at him, dude, what you're doing. But I think that De Gea is a keeper that will fit in the way Ten Hag wants to play, especially when he wants to build up from behind. So yeah, I think that De Gea would be a great player for him. Definitely Bruno Fernandes, because with his instinct, his passes, he would be good. Um, I think.
Just on Bruno Fernandes, sorry, Ravish. Because he's a player that really divides the Manchester United fan base. Obviously, you may not be aware, but a lot of fans don't really want Bruno Fernandes at the club. I would say
Oh.
it's a 50-50 split. So 50% would want him to go. They don't think he's going to suit a Ten Hag style because, like you mentioned, Ten Hag plays attacking, free-flowing football. Do you think Bruno is capable of flourishing under Ten Hag, or do you think it's a matter of we might have to move him on?
Maybe I'm overreacting, but I think I can compare Bruno with Ziyech. When Ziyech came to Ajax,
Yeah,
he had some struggles with defense, because yeah, his whole attitude, he wasn't smiling. But when Ten Hag became the coach, he know how to touch him, and he became one of the great players of Ajax, together with Tadic, De Jong, De Ligt. I think Bruno can also be a part of Ten Hag's philosophy. But I saw one of the reactions that Ten Hag needs 5 years the whole 5 years to build up the team.
Yeah,
Give
yeah,
them the time, because I think Ten Hag is a coach who will also need to adapt the Premier League. I would say that he needs to take the time to discover the Premier League, also to discover Man United, also look at
yeah.
what they had in the past, and try to find his own way to combine his football vision with the Manchester United vision, and then form the team.
Yeah, in terms of obviously getting into the Premier League and adapting, so to speak, what's Ten Hag like in terms of his versatility? Is he similar to Pep to an extent where Pep just knows one brand of football? He doesn't really adapt his style. Is he quite adaptive with the way he plays football? Or is it just the similar style to what you mentioned earlier in terms of attacking?
Well, Ten Hag has the problem that Ten Hag has at Ajax is he doesn't have a plan B. The moment that
Yeah,
that's the problem. I think Pep has the same. They don't have a plan B
yeah,
when it becomes difficult, and Ten Hag is the same coach. What's also really annoying from him was when we are watching in the stadium. I have a season ticket for more than 14 years. He's always makes his substitutions so late during the game. He's always substituting around the minute 70, minute 70, maybe later. It depends how the game is developing, but I would say his bottleneck could be that he doesn't have a plan B. If you throw the long ball, and please pray that the ball is going good in the box. We don't have that, and he doesn't have that either, and that's sometimes really annoying, of course.
yeah. No, I could imagine it definitely gets frustrating. I think for me, that's one of my concerns. Obviously, you mentioned the late substitutions. I feel like that seems to be a running theme with a lot of managers this generation. But in
Yeah.
terms of his lack of plan B, that is definitely a worry of mine. But as you mentioned, there's other managers like Pep Guardiola, for example. Not to say he's on that level, of course, but he's similar to an extent where his substitution extremely late. He doesn't really have a plan B as well. So of course, although it is a negative, but I suppose in a sense you're going to get that with every manager. But just to come back to the players, um, obviously we spoke about Bruno Fernandes and De Gea. Is there any players that you feel like in this Man United team will definitely struggle? I don't know how much you know about the Man United squad currently, but is there anyone in particular you feel like, okay, this person is definitely not gonna be able to play in a Ten Hag system?
I think it's the player that everyone mentioning, Maguire, because
I knew you were gonna say that, but I wanted you to give your own opinion. But why
uh,
Maguire? Why do you think he'll struggle?
I still can't believe that you guys paid 85 million for that dude. Come on, man. Who gave his signature for that transfer? Um, I think Maguire is a player that he won't fit, because yeah. How do you say that? He is he's too
He's
slow.
slow. He's
Um,
poor.
he's
Yeah,
poor. If he tries to make, if he tries to circle around, it's take more than ages before he has found the right spot. Um, so I think that Maguire will be one of the players that won't be continuing with Ten Hag. But it can that he might be the surprise of the preparation. Um, I would say I think that maybe that Donny van de Beek will have new chances when Ten
that
Hag
was
will
gonna be my
be.
next question. Actually, I was gonna ask you about Donny. Like, what are your thoughts on Donny? Because a lot, again, similar to the Bruno thing, a lot of United fans have completely written Donny off. Obviously, he was fantastic at Ajax. He's from Ajax Academy. Do you think this is a good opportunity for him to potentially, like, revitalize his career now that Ten Hag, someone that knows him, is
Yeah, but
coming
I,
in?
th- I think that Ten Hag will make him deserve playing in his squad. I don't think Ten Hag will take him for granted. You know what I mean? That because he
Yeah,
knew him from Ajax, that he's automatically in his starting 11. So
yeah.
Donny van de Beek needs to work for his spot in the squad. But I think he would be great for that team. But also, like with Maguire, I don't understand. He went to United while you had so many midfielders at that time. So that like now he have chosen for Everton instead of Crystal Palace. It also shows that his knowledge about his own qualities aren't that good, because you can't compare Ajax with the Premier League, and you also need to check what's my perspective at every team I will go to. So yeah, I think he made some poor decisions, and I'm really curious what the plans of Ten Hag will be with Van de Beek when he returns to United, or maybe United decide to sell him this summer. You don't know.
Sorry, I'm just going to it again.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah, so I missed the last maybe 20 seconds of that. No, no, not 5 seconds. So obviously you were saying obviously he made the wrong move to Palace.
Yeah,
Sorry, didn't go to Palace. Does it surprise you to an extent of how poorly he's kind of adapted to the Premier League? Is that a surprise to you, or
yeah.
was that always the case that the physicality might be an issue?
No, the last definitely, because the Premier League is a physical competition. You need to be really good equipped to go to the Premier League as a player. I thought with the attacking modus of Ola, playing between the lines between the midfield
Yeah,
and attacking, he would fit. But of course, when you're a team in trouble, you always choose for defense first and then attacking. So I can imagine that Ola changed the system, but I think Van de Beek underestimated also the step to United. He was thinking I can fix it with my talent, and wasn't good equipped, and that's why I think he failed in his first period at United.
yeah. Well, I'm hoping obviously with the Ten Hag edition that he has got the capabilities. I actually have gone on Twitter and kind of basically said that I believe that Van der Beek is more than capable of turning it around, especially under Ten Hag. What would you say Van der Beek's best position is? 'Cause obviously, a lot of United fans said different things. For me personally, I quite like him as a box to box, arriving late
Same,
into the box. Obviously, that third man run,
same.
that kind of thing. What would you say if he is to be successful under Ten Hag? What would you say his best role would be for Manchester United?
Box to box, coming into the box, is a player who always he in the Dutch league, he was always famous about his instinct, always on the right place to score the goals. So box to box would be a perfect position, would be a perfect role for him in this squad. Also, Usman, I want to say something else. Of
Yeah,
course, everybody is happy that Ten Hag will go to Manchester United, but even Ten Hag doesn't uh, Ten Hag needs to realize he will go to a big club, bigger than Ajax, and he also needs to look which technical staff can help him adapt the Premier League, adapt Manchester United as a club. So the moment that he will start forming his own staff, he needs to uh, he needs to seek people who can help him understand Manchester United as a team, and also help him
yeah.
understand how the media works over there. So it's always good to sign a new coach and say we're so happy with him as a club, but give him the support he needs, because he's coming from a different country to another country where football is a religion. um, I heard that he was seeking for assistant as Steve McLaren. So Steve
Yeah,
McLaren is pronounced as his assistant. I would say I hope he would also go for Rene Meulenstein, because
yeah,
Meulenstein was a part of the fantastic period of United with Ferguson, and maybe find an old player who can also be helpful on the pitch, somebody who can understand the young players and can talk with them and see, okay, what you're struggling with. He can talk with the trainer without being a snitch. So he needs to combine a staff who is balanced and also capable to help him through how many years he will be working at the club.
Yeah, I think that's something that we definitely need to take a leaf out of Ajax's book. You know, in terms of your structure, the way you set things up. In terms of his backroom stuff, I was going to ask you, anyways. Obviously, you mentioned Steve McLaren, then Ronnie Mullenstein. Is there any speculation that he may be bringing his Ajax backroom staff with him? Because for me personally,
No.
that's what I would prefer, but I don't think that's going to happen. Is there anything within the Amsterdam in terms of that?
No, there isn't at the moment. So, like you said, in the English media, it's already announced. The Dutch media also said that Ten Hag and United are talking about the last details, but it's not
Yeah,
officially confirmed by media like the Telegraaf or Football International. So I
yeah,
can't tell you at the moment if he will take members of his staff at Ajax to United. To be honest, I don't think he will do that because the ambition of the current assistant, Vincent Bogarde and Michael Reiziger, they aren't really talking about their future outside of Ajax. But you never know what the new coach who will be at Ajax will ask or will do. But at the moment, there isn't a name that it's singing around that will go from Ajax to Manchester United.
okay, that's extremely disappointing to hear. I'm not gonna lie, but obviously from your perspective, I'm sure you're absolutely elated with that. But in terms of
No,
coaches aside, yeah, go on, sorry.
Uh, well, because we are now in the end of the competition, and Ajax is not doing really well. Of course, they are still leader of the league, but the last couple of matches were extreme difficult, where they brought in the 3 points. In about 2 weeks, we are playing the league final, and Ten Hag has told several times he's focusing on those
Yeah,
last games, and I think after the season he will communicate that he will leave Ajax, and then everything will be more familiar. But at the moment, the only thing that's really concrete is that they are talking about the fact that he will become the head coach of United. But how he will fill it in, it's still not.
yeah, no, that's understandable. For me personally, I don't expect any official announcement to happen until the season. You guys are in a very tight title race, I believe, with PSV. Of course, PSV drew 3-3 the other day, which
Yep.
now means you got a 4 point gap, which of course is fantastic for
Give us a
yourself.
little breath space.
Exactly. Great, obviously, great performances from yourselves. But yeah, it's understandable. I don't expect any announcement. It would just potentially derail your season, which is
You here?
okay. It always disconnects me at the wrong time. I don't
Yeah.
even know why it happens. Honestly, God, my viewers are used to it, and I don't know why it's been going on for like 2 weeks. So I apologize. But yeah, so
You
obviously,
were
as I
saying.
was saying, yeah, so it's completely understandable that I wouldn't expect that. But one thing I am potentially expecting, I don't know if you've heard, there's a few players linked to Manchester United from
Yeah.
the Ajax ranks. I'm sure you'll be well aware of this, probably more than me. Just quickly want to shout out Eddie and obviously the United way as always. There's a question here for you, but we'll ask it very shortly regarding the youth and etc. But in terms of players, two people that I've noticed in particular, Jurien Timber, as you will know very well. I'm sure you're smiling because you definitely do not want to lose him. And the other one being the Brazilian Anthony, again, another player you don't want to lose. Sadly, he's just got injured as well, which is absolutely devastating. Um,
Yeah,
them
for
two
sure.
players aside, or potentially mention them, is there any player that you think Ten Hag would potentially take with him, or who you think that are really important for him in terms of implementing his style of play? Like, is there anyone that you think, no, what Ten Hag probably would want that player? I know Tadic would be an obvious one, but I just can't see him taking Tadic, to be honest.
I think the names you just mentioned, those are two players that are really interesting for Ten Hag. I think that Anthony, with his speed and his individual actions, could be a really good player for United. Timber developed himself this season as one of the bricks of the Ajax wall, and
Yeah.
he said in interviews that he's still not open for leaving the club. But yeah, as soon as the offers will come, we'll see how he will keep his word. Yes or no? He keep his word. Anthony is a really a player that the fans will enjoy. He can be quite annoying with his acting on the field when people are pushing against him or kicking him. But I think those two players are at the moment players that could be a great signing for United. If I would say,
In terms of Anthony, sorry, just to ask you there, what would you say his strengths are as a player? Like, because obviously there's a lot of United fans that might watch this that have absolutely no clue apart from a couple of clips they've seen of him.
Mhm.
Obviously, he scored recently that 85-minute winner where he took his shirt off. I'm sure loads of
Yeah,
people have seen that. But what an important goal it was. But
yeah.
in terms of what he brings to the team, what kind of player is Anthony for those that aren't aware at all?
Well, he has also he has an action, so he can play out two three people with one action. He also has a good assist. He sees the ball. He's also sometimes he's a little blind when you think pass the ball, and then he shoots for himself. But he can be a really important part of the attacking system of United. If you have a good striker coming season, because Cavani will leave the club, maybe you guys can sign Kane.
Yeah,
I would say try. With his left foot, you saw in the Champions League, he found Haller several times, and I think with he can do the same if we have a good number nine who's finding the right spot in the box, and he can give a lot of assists, and he can also score goals. He's really
yeah.
quick. I saw it by myself. Every time when you think he can keep the ball in, he kept the ball in. And yeah, I would say he would be a big attraction. I would say like that, an attraction for the Man United fans.
Yeah,
And
he's
maybe,
somewhat of a. Yeah, he comes across a bit like a fan favorite, really. To be fair, every time I watched him play, he seems like a very much a raw talent. As you mentioned, he's extremely quick, and he's got
yeah.
that capabilities of getting a good ball into the box, as you also mentioned with the Sebastian Haller assist. In terms of Jurriën Timber, again, I'm not going to sit here and say I know a great deal about him. I have seen him, obviously, at Ajax shirt, numerous occasions this season, but you know, there's a lot of hype around him. To be honest, there's a lot of
Hmm.
hype. Obviously, he's not the tallest, but seems quite athletic. Like, how would you assess him, or like a player profile, so to speak, if you were to like just sum up what Julian Timber is again for anyone watching this that hasn't got a clue who he is?
Yeah, well, like you said, he isn't that tall, but he's really physical. He has a good. He knows how to play the game. He's a player who can defend really well. Unfortunately, he made a mistake against Benfica, where he suddenly became the guard of Darwin Nunez, where we everybody thought, dude, this was the height between Nunez and Timber.
Yeah,
How come he was defending him? But the way he's playing, he's always relaxed. He's always looking for the solution up front, and I think he would be a great defender for United, because United is also a football playing team who wants to build up. They don't want to kick the ball in front and see, okay, do something with it. The only thing, I think he is physically not ready for the Premier League yet. I think he
okay.
needs to become more powerful. Because I think you have a lot of big strikers in the Premier League, and it would, let's say, uh, we wouldn't mind if he would play another year in Amsterdam, become more experienced, and then leave the club.
Sorry, I can't even help it. But you were saying obviously his physical presence is something that he needs to improve on. Do you think that
Yeah,
is that something that he can improve on over the years, or do you think it's just something, given his height and
I
his
think
stature, that he might struggle with?
so. I think he didn't play that much matches in the first team. He came this season really fast, and he needs to develop a little more. And of course, if you're playing in the Premier League, training with players like Cavani, Ronaldo, De Gea, you name it, with all these players can make you also a better player. But in
Absolutely.
my opinion, he's not ready yet for the Premier League. if I would choose, if I would compare Gravenberg, Ryan Gravenberg, and Jurien Timber, I would say then go for Ryan Gravenberg, because he has the attitude, he has the length, he has he has everything. He has the whole package for United. On the midfield, he could be also a really valuable player. But keep Timber for one more year in Amsterdam, and then we will see further. The fun part is, Usman, I'm really familiar with this kind of problems.
Okay, right. So obviously my internet's messing up now. So I just want to ask you the last couple of questions because obviously my
Yeah.
internet's completely messed. Obviously you mentioned a couple of other players there as well. In terms of Ten Hag himself, obviously we've spoken about the philosophy and what he can bring to the table. I just want to ask you regarding the the structure, because obviously at Ajax is very. I know you've lost Overmars, but during his tenure at Ajax, he's always had great structure behind him. He's always had people in the right places making the right decisions. How do you think he'd fare going into the situation at Manchester United, which is extremely chaotic? There's not really any structure. Do you think that might potentially affect his ability to be successful? So, for example, the recruitment we mentioned earlier, obviously you spoke about the budget. The recruitment, for example, how important do you think it is that the structure is good, firstly, and secondly, that the recruitment, the buying players that suit his style of football?
It, I think it will be crucial for Ten Hag, because he has a kind of way of playing. I think when he had the talks with the board of United, they made him some promises about the budget and about the players who are possible signings for United. So I think it will be a real it will be a real shock for Ten Hag, coming from a structured, organized club as
Yeah,
Ajax, where only Overmars left, but the whole fundament is still in place. The only thing that will be changing is the puppet Overmars will be replaced by somebody else. But everybody else who was working together with Ten Hag are still there. So uh, the only thing what now going on, that Klaas-Jan Huntelaar became an intern, and
yeah,
he might be the new director. And then if you go to Manchester United, you tell me who is responsible now for the scouting, for the transfers. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, so that would be a great challenge for him. And I think that he wants some clearance. He wants to know what's he up to, what's Manchester up to, and he wants to put the club to his own hand. I'm really convinced that that will be one of his first parts, to make Manchester United his club, and then hopefully it will bring him success. But like I said before, he don't need to underestimate the Premier League. He don't need to underestimate Manchester United. Be a little humble at first. Find out how everything is going on in the club. Who's responsible for what? Talk with them. Have your own analyses, have your own thoughts about things, and then see what will happen. But he needs to realize that United is a club in chaotic times at the moment, and it will take a lot of time to bring the club back to where it belongs, in my opinion.
Yeah, and obviously you've kind of alluded to what I was going to ask you in terms of, how long it'll take. How long did it take for Ten Hag realistically to implement his style?
It Well, like I said, he had a false start in the first half year. The second part of the season, the start of the new season, it also went a little difficult.
Yeah, sorry,
uh,
I'm just closing the blinds. So as I was saying, how long did it take for Ten Hag to implement his style when you first got to Ajax? Was it a long period for that sort of initial bedding in period to get his philosophy? And do you think it could potentially take him even longer? I may not, given the fact there's so
well
much mess going on at the moment.
Well, it took him some time. Also, in the fabulous season that we conquered Europe, it also took time to implement his vision, because players weren't always enthusiastic the way he was the way he was preparing the training. He was always, during the session, he was stopping the session to explain things. So it took some time, but eventually the puzzle was created. Everything went well, and yeah, we lost the final on 30 seconds, but we became the champion. We won the cup. So I think it took him 6 months, but you need to understand that.
Oh wow.
You can't compare the time in United with the time in Amsterdam, because there will be so much pressure if he will lose two or three of his first matches. Then already all the fans will be asking for, hey, what the hell are you guys doing? And especially when City is walking away, when Liverpool is walking away, um, and maybe Newcastle now, because they have a new owner. I don't see Chelsea coming back after Abramovich has lost all his money. Arsenal is always, yeah. What do you say about Arsenal? Uh, they went well for a while, and suddenly they lost from Crystal Palace. So I think the competitors for next season will be City and Liverpool, and maybe United, if they won't. Yeah, how do you say that in English? Go to another division, degrade.
We, sorry, say that last sentence again. Sorry.
How do you say that in English? Newcastle, Everton lost yesterday, and they are now fearing to go to the first
Relegation.
division. Yeah, relegation.
Oh,
If
relegated, relegated.
Yeah, if Newcastle not relegate to the first division, they might be also a big competitor, because they have all the money of the world. So I think there will be three competitors for next season, and Ten Hag, like I said in the start of this conversation, give him the time, give him, and be patient, because he's also a coach who is a little, um you can laugh with him, but he's also sometimes that you would see, dude, what kind of match did you see? And the way he's
Yeah.
talking, like, hey, I'm glad to be in United, huh? And I was a big club. The press conferences will be hilarious. I can't wait to see them, just like Louis van
Uh,
Gaal.
yeah. Oh, is it like that? Okay. Louis van Gaal gave us some absolutely blinder moments.
Yeah,
In terms of what you're saying, I think you're absolutely spot on. I think it's very important that the Manchester United fan base are patient. I think that's the most important
yeah,
thing with
exactly.
the new manager in general, but especially with someone that has such a clear style of play. They need to get the players to suit that style of play. And I think with Ten Hag, that's going to be extremely evident, because a lot of our players can't really play the way you play, because we don't have the capabilities to play one-touch football, move the ball quickly. We don't have players with high IQ like yourself. Obviously, we mentioned Tadic and Blaine, two very high IQ players, absolutely phenomenal in their role and what they do for Ajax. In terms of dealing with pressure, um, you know, how do you think you'll be able to fare? Because obviously at Manchester United, again, no disrespect to Ajax, I feel like you kind of mentioned it yourself. At Manchester United, after two poor results, it seems that the world's against you. Your back's against the wall. Even if you are a new manager, people are going to be looking at the first two games. How is he fared with the pressure? Is that something that might be able to deter him, or is that something that you've seen in that he seems that someone's got a strong mentality, so to speak?
Well, I think that Ten Hag is a person he won't be panicking after the results will be not good in the start of the season. He's always confident of his own way of working. Um, yeah, I don't think he will be panicking directly. He won't do strange things. He will continue his philosophy, even though the results aren't good, because he knows that after a while, when people are gonna accept it and gonna recognize the way he's playing, that it will be, yeah, everything will be fine. The only thing is, uh, the fans who aren't really happy for years now, can they again have so much patience to see Manchester United struggling? But
Yeah.
Ten Hag is a coach who is always protecting his players, is always standing for his players if they are doing things that aren't good. And he's also a big fan of audience. He always compliments the audience if they help the team through a difficult period during the match. So I think it will be a good partnership, and he won't be panicking that quickly that he will shout at reporters or stuff. No, he's always a gentleman, sometimes a little odd to follow in his analysis, but you guys will enjoy Erik Ten Hag for sure.
Listen, I think we're gonna. Listen, I just want to first and foremost say, like, in terms of what you said regarding his ability to deal with pressure, I think that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Um, for me as a football fan, I think it's extremely important that our manager has thick skin because, as you kind of alluded to, United fan base, we're extremely impatient at the moment. It's been a long period of us having any success, let alone a bit of success. And I don't want it to be a case that we take that all out on Ten Hag after 3-4 months because it's been 10 years of us being a failure, so to speak, and then obviously we turn on Ten Hag too early. So in terms of him, someone who sticks to his principles, I can respect that. I think it's extremely important that he doesn't do what Ralph did. I felt like Ralph kind of came in with intentions of trying to play his football and trying to press and gauge and press, etc. But he just gave up because he felt like this team is not capable. I'm only here for 5 months. So he just threw in the towel for me personally in terms of that. So I'm really hoping Ten Hag sticks with it because, as we've seen with Ajax, the football you guys play is something that I definitely want to see at Old Trafford.
Do you also think that signing Ronaldo made things more complicated and difficult at United? Like you said, gegenpressing, because when he came, Ole was first the coach,
Yeah,
and I had the idea that Ole didn't know where to put Ronaldo, and that the
yeah,
board has told him he needs to play. And Rangnick came. Rangnick has, like you said, the Red Bull philosophy with gegenpressing, and Ronaldo isn't the player anymore who can who fits gegenpressing. But still, Rangnick also has the problem that the board wants Ronaldo to play because
yeah, of course.
commercially it's important.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, to be honest. There's a lot of people saying that Ronaldo is a problem. For me personally, I do understand from Ralph's perspective. Obviously, if he wants to defend from the front, I think it's extremely important and that all the players contribute, including Ronaldo. There may be some cases that Ronaldo has been, affecting the overall style of play in terms of how the manager wants to set up. There's absolutely no denying that. But for me, I think the overall issue comes back to the midfield. Obviously, if you've ever watched us this season, Ronaldo not pressing is definitely somewhat of an issue. But I do think the big issue has been the midfield for me personally, in terms of the overall structure of the team isn't right. And I feel for Ten Hag, he needs to ensure that he sorts out the midfield. I was going to ask you actually, regarding Ronaldo for Ten Hag, do you think that could be a situation that Ten Hag lets him go? Do you think Ronaldo would be in his plans, or do you think it'd be a matter of just a bit part play here and there?
It could become two ways. It could be that Ronaldo will hear from Ten Hag that he won't continue with him, but it could also be that Ronaldo can be a big part of Ten Hag's plans as a player who won't be a striker anymore. I think Ronaldo could become more an attacking midfielder instead of a striker. Uh,
Oh
like
wow.
uh, like I think you need to see it like the role Messi now has. Messi can't is not the player anymore who can run 40 yards in 30 seconds, but still has his instinct to give the ball with the right speed at the right moment. And Ronaldo also can do that. And you also see that Ronaldo has difficulties with scoring goals nowadays because players are willing to fight with everything they have against him. So he needs to become more eager and more smarter to find the right spot to score the goals. So I don't think he will say I won't use Ronaldo, but he needs to think of a new role for Ronaldo, or otherwise the board will say, okay, listen, Cristiano, It's time for a whole new era. We're gonna get rid of all the old players, and we will give Ten Hag Bank. So we'll see.
Yeah, time will tell. I think without a shadow of a doubt, for me personally, I think it's best for the team to move Ronaldo on. I just don't see a future with Ronaldo in there. I know he probably isn't going to go because we don't tend to buy a bulk amount of players within one window. So I'd be surprised if we let 10 players go and be able to replace any of them. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, I'll try to get back on it. Obviously, if we are linked to Timber, for example, or Anthony. Not that you want any of that to happen, of course. But listen, I just want to say a massive thank you for your insight. Obviously, the comments here as well saying, love the insight. Thank you. It's just good to hear from someone who is an Ajax fan that watches, obviously Ten Haag and your team in general every single week. Just before we go, as always, I just want to allow you the opportunity to shout out your socials. It is down below as well, but obviously, if there's anything you want to plug, let the people know where they can find you, okay?
Yeah, so my Twitter account is at Ravish. Really thanks for you, Usman, to have me in the show. I hope that everybody could understand my story and that my English was good enough for
Oh,
a
your
Dutch
English is
guy.
fantastic.
And yeah, looking forward to discuss more about United, and hopefully you guys won't buy Anthony and Timber, but time will tell. Wishing you all the best with the team, and hopefully United will become one of the top clubs again. They were how I remember them, and maybe we'll play together in the Champions League. You never know.
Yes, you never know, you never know. But listen, thank you very much for your time. I genuinely do appreciate it. As I've
No
already
worries.
said, his socials are down below. Make sure you go and drop him a follow, show him some support. Absolutely fantastic content that they do on their platform as well. Regarding ourselves, please do drop a like on the video. Of course, subscribe to the channel. I'm speaking very quick because I feel like I'm going to get disconnected in the next 2 seconds. So ignore me if I'm speaking quickly. But my socials are down below. You guys already know where to find me. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. Stay tuned for more content. We'll be back on Saturday, I believe. Oh, yeah, of course, we've got Everton. So back either tomorrow or Saturday with more content, looking ahead to our game on the weekend. Apart from that, it's been your boy Osman. Drop a like, get your comment.